trying to think if there's anything else that I'm really dying for. This isn't like a specific thing, but in general, I'm always looking to have more diverse authors and diverse stories. But when it comes to the type of stories that I'm looking for, I am looking more for stories that have diverse MCs, but that do not center around identity struggles. I think that those books are important, and I think there's a place for them. But on the other hand, I also think that, like, I don't wake up every day and wonder how what I'm doing relates to how Korean I am. And I think that everyone is like that. No one is constantly grappling with identity issues or comparing every choice they make to, like, what their ancestors would do or what their parents want them to do. So I would like to see more stories with diverse characters just being normal. Normal is not the right word, but that's all I can think of. Kind of like if you swapped out any other story but just had like a diverse main character in it.
Gotcha. That's not appealing to you. There has to be something beyond just, it's this story, but this time it's with.
It's not that it's not appealing to me. I think that if the story was right and it was centering around identity issues in a way that felt really compelling to me, then like I'm definitely still interested in that. But in general, I would like to see more of the kind of other story that I described, just because when I do see diverse stories, it is mostly identity focused in some way, and it's just something new that I would like to see more of.
Okay. Something that I go out of my way to ask just about every publishing professional I ever have the opportunity to talk to, because I'm a big proponent of more diverse books. We need them. And I know from your manuscript wish list that you're actively seeking books with diverse characters. But what are you doing to increase diverse offerings within publishing, and what are you seeing other publishers doing to make sure that chart they put together every year that shows the white characters, the book starring white characters being, I think it was down to almost 60% of the market, most recent graphic that I saw drawn of it. So I know it's improving, but it's still not quite where we want it to be. Yeah, that's my question. What are you seeing publishers do to increase diverse offerings, and what are you doing?
Well, I think on the children's business, for me, diverse books is something that is much more widely accepted in the publishing industry than it was even, I don't know, like 5 years ago. You see editors now saying that they're actively looking for diverse stories. So I think that in that sense, a lot more of the publishing industry is aware of the need for these books and is, if not actively hunting for them, at least open to getting them. In terms of like what I'm doing, I mean, I guess just like submitting books with diverse characters.
Which is a big deal. It's good that you're doing it. Keep it up.
But I think also making an effort. So of those small spots on my list, I'm making more of a conscious effort to be aware of whether or not that person is a person of color. And that's not necessarily to say that like if they're not, then like screw them. But it's just something that I want to be more aware of as I continue to build my list. Just, because.
We've heard the heterosexual white male has angst story before. that one's available.
Publishing in general, I think on both sides of the equation is like pretty white. And that has a lot to do, I think, with historical sort of like financial statuses and things like that. So, for authors of color who are, looking to get their work published, for whatever reason, it might be harder for them to, maybe participate in contests or critiques or whatever. And I just think being aware of that and sort of like looking out for those people is a way that you can sort of help them. Not necessarily, I guess, I don't know, I'm getting sort of rambly here. I think that it is important as an agent and as an editor, and just in general, to be more aware of sort of the clients that you're working with and how you want your list of authors to look. Because it's easy to say that you're for diversity, right? But if you're saying that and you're saying it's important to you, then you should be doing something to sort of ensure that you are contributing to that in some way, shape, or form.
Makes sense to me. And then what are you seeing publishers doing to continue to increase those efforts?
Well, actually, I have a panel at Macmillan tomorrow, POC agent panel, where we're talking about diversity issues and what we can do in the future. So I think that publishers are a lot more aware and they are trying to start conversations, which is really good. But I think also making it more of an effort in acquisitions meetings to make sure that, of the, 12 titles that we're publishing this season, how many of them are maybe from a diverse standpoint or an own voice of the author. So I think that the awareness that's there isn't the same awareness that was not present several years ago. So that's definitely a good thing too.
So let me ask you this: if I come to you and I want to write about, I don't know, for those of you who are on the listing can't see me, I am indeed a heterosexual white male. I come to you and I say I want to write a story about an autistic Chinese girl who's also transgender. What steps is that something that's a realistic pitch that I could write that story? And if so, what are we going to need to do to counter the narrative? The narrative that I maybe am not the person to tell that story.
Well, my question to you would be why, and if you have a reasonable reason, and not just like, because I think it would be cool, then, that's step one. I do have authors who have written diverse characters who themselves are not diverse. One of my middle grade authors, Shauna Holyoke, is white, and she has a book, Kazu Jones and the Denver Dognappers, that has a half Japanese main character. And I love the book. I love the voice. I thought that having the characters very traditional Japanese parents just kind of like really perfectly offset who she was as a person. And so, we just really wanted to make sure that we were doing our due diligence and representing characters authentically. So we got sensitivity readers on board to look over the manuscript to make sure that everything we were doing was correct. And, the right sort of thing for someone to say or do or act or what have you. So if you are doing a project like that, and it is for a really good reason, then getting sensitivity readers on board is key, definitely.
Gotcha. So get as many readers who had that experience to weigh in and say, yes, that's within, if not my realm of experience, I could see that as plausible at least.
Mm-hmm. And I think that they have reason, why you were writing this particular character and why, it should be you. I would make sure that answer is something that is very comprehensive, that will kind of stand up to criticism too, because as I'm sure you can imagine, if you are a white heterosexual male writing about a deaf Chinese girl who's also transgender, I think.
Yeah, no, it was the most ridiculous hypothetical I could possibly think of.
Get ready to have some people who are looking to get really angry at you, or who are looking to really closely examine your story and see the cracks in it. So making sure beforehand that you're doing this for the right reasons and that you're also doing everything you need to do to make sure that that person is portrayed authentically is really important. Not just for the book and the story, but for you as well.
Sure. That makes complete sense. It's something that I think is getting better as we're all figuring this out together at the same time. How to fix the diversity of publishing is all a problem. Everybody that's involved in publishing at any level, this is a problem impacting all of us. That we need to get together and work on. But I know in my case, I had difficulty with Banneker Bones because he is a biracial boy detective in a multiracial family. And I said, yes, but I'm raising such a boy. I think I can handle the book about one. And that is my modus operandi for wanting to write that one. I had a friend whose son is transgender and was told, because you yourself are not transgender, we're concerned that the story is not going to be able to resonate with an audience. Is that something that hopefully is lessening and that you're finding ways to overcome with sensitivity readers alone? Or what would go into a strategy to say, hey, readers, let's make sure that the Twitter's on board with this, or whoever we'd be concerned about?
Well, I wouldn't really think about it in terms of a hurdle to overcome, because I think that it is very valid to say that, if you are telling the story about a transgender person, then if there's someone out there who is transgender and can speak more authentically to that experience, then, that maybe is the book that should be out there and be getting recognition. But I do think like I said, if you have that good reason, you know, I'm doing this for my friend's son so that he can see more transgender representation. You know, because I really care about that and I want him to see himself in books. And, you know, to that end, I have talked with, you know, 3 different transgender sensitivity readers. And, you know, the whole reason also for this character being transgender in this story is because it's about accepting yourself for who you are. And I really felt that would drive that point home. If you can speak, you know, intelligently to things like that, explaining why you're doing what you're doing and how you've taken the steps to sort of make sure that everything you're doing is correct and appropriate, then I think that you're fine. I mean, there is honestly still a chance that some people might say, you know what, that's not for me. But I mean, that's the case really with all books. There's always a chance, right? So.
No, I want to write the kind of book that nobody ever complains about and everyone's happy the moment I write it.